Welcome back, everyone. If you have not been watching, perhaps you've missed some, but still with us, still some interesting moments that we still have on the program. Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode, a former aviation minister, is with us on the program. Mr. Dafe, senior advocate of Nigeria in London, and Mr. Ken Okolubo, a former commissioner and a former member of the Presidential Campaign Organization in 2011. All of them are talking to us on some of the major issues in the political climate in Nigeria today. Let's get back into the conversation, and let me come to Lagos quickly with Mr. Okolubo. You did say in an interview in the Daily today about the future of the party, and one of the things that you're saying is that the party needs to come together. Did you see this kind of judgment coming?
I actually foresaw this kind of judgment. That was somebody asked. In fact, a couple of people have called me today to say, "How come you're able to say what you said in today's dailies?" I said, "Well, it was on instinct I acted, and the instinct proved me right. And thank God it was published before the judgment." You see, the truth about it is, I like exactly what Senator Mark said. He said we should never allow a family dispute. At this point, we shouldn't be talking about 5%, and we shouldn't be talking about 95%. What we should be talking about is total reconciliation. Like I said in that interview in the dailies, the party has been torn apart. We need to come stronger together. Look, the Osun election is a typical example of what happens when we come together as a body. Senator Missouri was with Makarfi. He wasn't with Sheriff, but you saw him on the podium raising the hands of the would-be senator, the senator-elect Adeleke, with Sheriff. And that was the turning point of that election. We won the election with over 30,000. Remember, Ondo, we had a sitting governor who was not only a sitting governor, but a sitting governor who came by way of opposition, Labour Party, joining a party back in PDP governor, and we lost that election. We lost the election in Edo. In fact, the only place we were able to hold on strong was in Rivers, where Wike, of course, we know has always held fort.
One of the major things that we hear Senator Alimodu Sheriff talk about is impunity in the PDP. Do you think that will continue after this judgment? Because those who are loyal and those whom Senator Alimodu Sheriff have always blamed for this impunity are on the Senator Ahmed Makarfi's side. Do you think this will continue?
Well, for a lot of us that kicked against it, for example, I was against that convention in Port Harcourt. I'm not going to change my stand because, well, the Supreme Court has said the convention in Port Harcourt was rightfully done. But why were we against it? It was the lack of internal democracy that has been going on in our party. The impunity, we can't deny it. There's nobody that will deny the fact that there was so much impunity at a particular point in time. But we have weathered the storm. Even with the impunity and the lack of internal democracy, we have believed that we'll come to a stage where we'll come together as a family. We have to stop the fact that you say because Ken is loyal to me, Ken must run for the governorship of Delta, or run for House of Rep in Delta, or run for Senate in Delta. Let me go and test my popularity in the primary.
Some of the things that Senator Alimodu Sheriff did say about some governors. Do you think this judgment empowers these governors more? Or do you think that there is going to be a mechanism that the party needs to be putting in place to curb what he said was impunity in the party?
Well, I think Senator Makarfi, having gone this route, because the buck stops at his table now as the chairman of the party, he would have to check this impunity. The way to check this impunity is to allow a reconciliation committee, a totally independent reconciliation committee, to allow these wounds to heal. We must adopt the approach of no victor, no vanquish, especially as a party in opposition. Don't forget that we're in opposition right now. We believe we're going to win the elections in 2019. I told you in the studio just a couple of days ago when I was here, like 2 weeks ago when I was here, that the APC is not an option. It is very clear that in 2019 we're going to win that election, and if we do not get our acts together, that's the only reason why we wouldn't win the election in 2019.
Just in a very brief statement, do you believe in the judgment of today?
I have the choice to believe in the judgment of today. It's a final judgment.
If you were to talk to me privately, do you believe him?
I would have my misgivings, but we don't have a choice.
Okay, let me quickly ask the lawyer, the senior advocate here. Mr. Dafe, what precedence do you think this judgment of today gives for Nigerian politics? Sometimes the Supreme Court judgment stands as law in itself. What do you think this portends for Nigerian politics and the scenario which played out in the PDP?
Shall I take my leanings from the decision given by Puta J as then was in the case of Adekoke motors against Adesoyan, where he said, and I quote him, he says, we are not final because we are infallible. Rather, we are infallible because we are final. It's a final judgment of the land. What he says is this: no matter what policy you play, realize that the courts do have the final say on this. The court has pronounced whatever you like, whether you like the judgment, you don't like the judgment. The only appeal you cannot do is appeal to God. You have to wait for eternity. The current position is the Supreme Court decided today by the lead judgment read by Bode was to the effect that Makarfi is now the acknowledged leader and chairman of PDP.
So that means, in essence, that means that the factor of a caretaker committee might be established in the PDP's constitution. Could it?
Say that again. I didn't get you.
I mean, there's been debate that there is no caretaker, no provision of a caretaker committee in the PDP's constitution. But with today's ruling or judgment of the Supreme Court, does it look like that may be established?
Well, we need to look at the judgment in details to see what exactly it says, because right now it's all snippets of it we have gotten. Okay. But the bottom line is this, which you must take home, is that it will appear that the loser today, the winner. Like you rightly pointed out, in party matters like this, there should be no victor, no vanquish, so that people can move around and get their party stronger. But having said that, what it behoves on us is that we need to know that if judges, the Supreme Court does have final say in these matters, and when they pronounce, everybody must toe the line and go according to what they've said.
Let me get Mr. Fani-Kayode's thoughts on these. You're a lawyer also, and you've been in the party forever, since about 16 years ago. You served former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Just quickly, if you will tell us, impunity, that's one of the major things that Senator Alimadu Sheriff talked about. Do you think that still exists, and how do you going to fight it or curb it?
Well, first of all, let me just say that I heard your other guest speaking about not making a distinction between 95% and 5%. I really didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. This whole thing is not a joke. It's a very serious issue. Yes, we do have to move together as one family. But first of all, let he who claims to be a member of this family not have as his ultimate intention or objective to completely destroy the family and sell us to the APC. That's a fundamental prerequisite before you begin to talk about unity. We have the unity of the 95%. We're reaching out to the rest of the party, and we will continue to do so. I was on your program about a year and a half ago, and I was the first person to point out the dangers about Alimadu Sheriff. And I was 100% right. I was proved to be right. The former ministers forum within our party also joined in that fight until every other stakeholder in the party agreed with us. We saw all this coming. Now the war is over. We are happy with that. We do want to come together as one. Okay. But let's not try to revise history. Some people died as a consequence of this conflict. Some people were locked up as a consequence of this conflict. Okay. Some people were destroyed as a consequence of this conflict.
Mr. Fani-Kayode, I'm afraid that
he spoke about impunity. The lead judgment was read by a very, very good judge today, Justice Bode Rhodes-Viver. And one of the things he said there was that he had never seen a situation.
We must leave it at that, I'm afraid, because of our time, Mr. Fani-Kayode, because I need to allow Mr. Okolugbo to give his final thought just in 30 seconds. What do you think is the immediate way forward for the PDP convention, and how soon?
Reconciliation before convention. Once we finish reconciliation, we'll have a very huge convention.
How soon could the convention come?
I'm looking at the convention. The convention should not be more than 60 days from now.
All right. Mr. Ken Okolugbo, many thanks for coming on the program.
It's always my pleasure.
Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode, former aviation minister and former director general of media at the Jonathan campaign in 2015, senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Dafe Akpedeye in London. Many thanks indeed for joining on the program, gentlemen. Many thanks also my audience and viewers, whatever you are watching. Thanks for being part of the show. I'm Sean Wakimale. Have a wonderful evening.